have clinics coming up now, and now that we're all meeting again, I don't think it's as necessary to have this, but I mean, I'm happy for everyone to make the call if you wanted to put a question out there for folks and they can answer it. But
okay. As far as the schedule, I think you're right. I think as far as the scheduled every Sunday Zoom, summertime probably isn't great. But if something comes up that members say we need, like just before the test, the end of July, maybe we could coordinate one with the pre-test a little bit. So answer a few questions the handlers have going into those tests.
That'd be great. Just an extra opportunity.
Yep. We could coordinate around that. That would be a great time for a judging Zoom meeting where we do nothing but what you're going to be facing judging wise.
And give them different scenarios that they could run into during the test.
Yeah,
how to navigate problems.
Yeah, that would be a great opportunity.
Okay, we'll look at it. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, have a good day.
Next.
I think we wanted to discuss this week a little more about water work and developing water work and some of the scenarios, if I heard you right.
Yeah.
Did you want to go into a little bit about what you were thinking about?
Yeah, Patty just did a video today. We did some training. This is a dog coming up on a utility test. It's not ready for full-blown search, but we found some intermediate water, and it's got a good piece in there about how chasing ducks develops searching. And it was neat to see because the duck dove, disappeared. The dog was hanging around. It was a pretty heavy vegetated area, but there was some key developments in there that you know, we've been trying to impress upon people that how to drive that desire up so they want to go find game. And I think this has a little bit of it in there. You can see it.
Okay. Frank, does Frank have it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. Frank, can you pull that up for us?
I'm trying to do that. Okay.
So we're talking about developmental searches, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you getting a hitchy video?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
let me, 1 second.
Yeah.
Let me stop my video.
So while Frank's doing that, I just want to say a word of caution. This water was mostly all swimmable water. It was deep enough. There was some lunging going on in that water. That water was warm. So your dog can overheat. And when she got on that duck chase, she was not in any danger there. But it's a caution that we all have to realize that water isn't always cool and refreshing. That water and her energy level in that water was causing her to become quite warm. So be aware of that. It's summertime and those shallow ponds do heat up pretty quickly.
Yeah, that water is actually hot. And anytime you're running shallow ponds with mud or loose bottoms, that they retain heat. So they get hotter than spring-fed situations. This is a beaver flow here with a lot of lily.
Another thing I notice when it comes to shallow water and muddy water is it's a great opportunity in your training for the dog to get used to submerged obstacles. Some of them get a little nervous when they run in.
This pond is amazing.
This is true. This thing is loaded with them. And the good thing about it is the acclimation.
And then of course introducing them to a variety of vegetation.
Right. But we've already acclimated her to a number of these things. So she's pretty comfortable with that, especially when her drive has just come up on the duck. So you'll see some things in here where her persistence is really developing to the chase. It's a neat little video. Restrictive, but neat.
I get it.
How old's the dog?
She did her national ability last spring. So she's 2 coming. She was 2. She'll be 2 in July, next week. So she absolutely loves water. She's got good drive on ducks.
But that's a good question, Jason, because this dog is not a brave dog. This dog is not. It's a little more softer than it's like some people come at in these situations, even with younger dogs. So it's got kind of a balance to it.
So knowing that, and knowing I approached it a little differently until I saw her offer me back the drive and the acting comfortable in the water, and so you really have to pay attention.
You have to understand where she is out there right now. We've zoomed in, is approximately 70 yards from where we're standing on the bank now. And it really is not, I'm not seeing much of anything right now.
Yeah, it's like a 50-second video, and that just got towards the end. I can play it again if you guys want.
Yeah, it's kind of
Choppy.
it's buffering. Yeah.
Sticky, yeah.
Yeah. We can explain it if you need to.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that?
Well,
So-
what we did in the beginning, you can't see it right now, was I took a duck and I shackled it, but not a lot. I let him have a little bit of feet, and he had total wing. And we threw it out. She knew it was over there. She saw it
We threw it from the opposite shore.
from the opposite shore.
So this is
So
a
she-
marked retrieve.
Yep.
Basically.
Okay.
Right. As soon as the duck hit the water, it started swimming. A little bit. It's not really able to, because what we wanted to do, we knew this duck would be able to dive, and we wanted to drive when it got to it, that chase, and I wanted to see her persistence on it. But we wanted to give the duck enough mobility that it would keep her in chase, but not so much lose it and then lose interest. So we wanted to eventually for her to get her mouth in it and get a win.
But Jason, even though it was a mark, she had no contact. The duck was gone when she got there, obviously. So she had to. That's where the search started. And it was great because she did a lot of tracking on water, which was amazing to watch. So a lot of different attributes you can develop in a dog, and with the persistence, she wanted that duck. So otherwise, dogs would turn off.
And it was neat to watch because keeping the dog in close proximity with, especially if you environmentally aren't sure of of this kind of development with your young dog, it made her stay in pursuit, even though she couldn't see it or smell it. So she started circling. She started swimming through it. And those heavy she pounded her way through those lily pads pretty darn good just to keep it. And then she'd get scent of it, and then the duck would dive again. And then she would start expanding her search a little bit more. So it kept growing and growing the whole time it was out there. It was a darn neat experience. And I thought it would be a great exposure piece for everybody to see that when we talk about getting them environmentally ready and then getting them to pump that drive, then they negotiate these kinds of vegetations without, it's more important to get the duck to them than it is to worry about that situation.
You'd be a kind of dog where you could do a resend?
I wouldn't do it with that dog. Not at this point.
She'll do it.
She could, but I wouldn't do it at this point because
There and ask her to resend?
I want that drive higher.
I have to make sure, that there's something out
The
there.
last thing I want to do is put her in a position where she goes halfway or that doesn't find it or doesn't get to it, and then now I'm just going to back her up. I don't see that drive where I need it at this particular point in her training.
No, I know a lot of folks want to always get a they're afraid of the resend. So they always try to set up a resend in their training. Is there ever an opportunity where you're like, okay, the dog did a good enough search, I don't need a resend, I shouldn't do a resend? Is there a problem always doing a resend?
I don't think so.
What I'm leading at is like on Merrimack Bay, you have a dog that does a 15-minute exhausting duck search, and now you're going to ask it to do a resend.
15 minutes?
Yeah, he's tired.
No. Well, here's the kicker here is the whole time I'm doing it, I don't usually hit resends until towards I try to peak the dog test day. I want to get the best dog I possibly can have come test day. So I may not do resends. If I think resends are going to depreciate, I'm going to do it later in the training as I see that desired started hitting the point where, I think I got it now. I think the resend's not going to be an issue. Then I would do it. But if I was on a muddy pond and I have a dog hot, tired, and caught the duck, I take that as a win. Not all the time. I would be.
Jason, with Angelina, I do duck searches in the woods. I put her on a sit stay and I walk a live duck out and I put it in the woods. I put 2 ducks out and I put them in the woods. So she does her resends and just that's what has built her drive on ducks. Water is nothing. She loves water. Water is not any different than land to her. So blending that all together, her resends have been excellent in the woods on ducks.
And I try to have that resend in a position, but not only are they coming in it, but they're coming into a hot duck. I mean, one that can't go anywhere, but he is ready to go. And he'll be fighting and trying to flay him. So that dog just drives right into it. So that when they leave that, they want to go back out. They're asking to go back out. That's the name of the game to me.
Yeah, I have seen dogs that will search and search and have this awesome search, and then their handler resends them, and the dog just lays down or goes out and goes, okay, I can do it, but it's just the dog hasn't been conditioned to handle a resend or handle that much.
No, I agree.
And that's another thing. What as far as conditioning for the duck search? What do you do?
Swim.
So you mean like physical conditioning on a dog?
Yeah, physical conditioning. Can that affect the duck search?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Oh, geez.
They can't breathe when they're sucking so much air out of their mouth and they're ingesting water. I mean, we took Angelina down to the pond down the end of the road, and then Fergie went out too, and Fergie actually came to shore and puked up like.
Yeah, she blew. She's sucking water like crazy. Went out, blew, gonna come back.
Then she
and
jumped
finally
back
I had
in.
to call her off. I said, no, you're gonna bloat on me if I keep this
going. Conditioning in summertime, swimming is excellent. Lunging in the water is excellent, and you're not going to get the injury possibilities of running on hot surfaces.
I think if somebody was, this is the time of the season, get in your kayak, send the dog out, and let them run down the river with you. Let them swim. Just go paddle and let the dog swim around you. Acclimation-wise, go out through wherever you're going to do your dog training. Go paddling around and have the dog come around with you. Every once in a while, throw a dead duck out if you want. Or leave dead ducks out there and just paddle around. And all of a sudden, he finds them. He brings them over the boat, put them in the boat, continue down around, conditioning and working at the same time.
Hey Blaine, quick
There's
question.
all kinds of things you can do.
Posted, did the dog end up getting the win, or did she not end up retrieving the duck?
Well, I don't worry about.
You mean the one in the video?
Yes.
Yeah, she got the duck.
Awesome.
She caught it.
Awesome.
She caught it.
You would have seen that in the video if Blaine remembered to hit the button.
He didn't. No.
I got it. Yeah. Thanks, Philip, for reminding him.
Yeah, thanks, Philip. I'm gonna remember this.
Yeah, she did a great job out there. Yeah. So another thing, I just read the article, and goes on with Jason's question about conditioning, is for those of you who go hunting, I don't know, now is the time to start your transition if you do not feed performance all the time, like most of us do now, or puppy food if we have puppies. But now is the time to start transitioning your dog to the higher protein, higher fat dog food for the fall. they can utilize it better if they have that ahead of time. We never go off it. We're on it all year long. But
Well, you have to balance your diet.
but now Prina is saying you should stay on it all the time. They used to say start 12 weeks before the season starts, but now they're saying, you know, feed it to them all year round. So, all good. They need that fat. They need the protein.
For you people, if you have a pulling harness for condition work, and you do this sparingly, but you can take approximately a heavy chain, probably 2 feet, and put a carabiner on one end and one with about a 4-foot tether line to the harness, and let them run it. Now, some dogs don't do well when you put resistance on them like that. If you need to, just walk them, whatever, get them used to it. But if they don't mind it, and you get the right, you can run them out into a field, especially a very fine, freshly mowed field, and let them do their searches. What will happen is they'll get very tired very quickly. As soon as they do, bring them back, hold them there, put out birds, and then go hunt the birds. And what you're doing is you're hunting them hot. All those things that you see in a very hot day, they will be on you right then. It's a great training period for your dogs. What I'm not saying is, as an unconditioned dog, kill them with the chains, but we're conditioning them, and we also want them to respiratory be able to work as well. So it's a good opportunity to labor them some and then have them work when they're hot.
And it's resistance training, so you can get conditioning faster, in a shorter period of time because they're working a little harder. But also remember that is also an anchor that they're pulling around. So if there's water nearby, don't go.
Yeah, don't put them overboard anyways. But also remember, when you're doing this work, this is a great time to also learn how to water. You don't want to dump them into a water bowl or something. You don't want them gulping water, especially when they're hot. So you have an opportunity to do some water regimens as well. Okay.
Jason's looking at a question. Oh, JC, you're muted.
Sorry. Thank you. I was just thinking about your water and how, the possibility of bloat. Maybe there's somebody out there.
Yeah, don't exercise them.
If not, they should be.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, anytime you conditioning, and you're conditioning strength and respiratory, like we're talking about right now, is remember there is a cool down period, and it doesn't mean to drop them flat either. They need to be walked out. You need to you can put them out in the yard, generally walk with you, just slow their respiratory down, and then let them cool off and get absolutely, then you can put them up, no water, let them cool down. And then when they come out, you can water and feed or do whatever you want, but make sure that they slow themselves down before you start putting them into it. Don't think you go out and do this kind of training and then you come back to the house and then you dump them into a food pan. That's not being very smart.
Speaking about retrieving ducks and water work and stuff when they're hot and they're panting, is there anything that you consider training with a dog? You know how they struggle sometimes retrieving when they're panting and the feathers are in their mouth and they're dropping the birds. Is that something to be aware of and start training towards?
It will happen. But when they get that's pretty extreme heat. When they're panting that hard, you're looking at close to overheating dogs. When they get, good retrieving dogs that are accurate, that are panting that hard, when they're breathing that hard to cool and try to maintain the bird is tough. It is super tough.
And as a judge, would you take a little bit of that into consideration or not? Or do they have to be conditioned no matter what?
Usually you try to get them in the water and get them cooled down a little bit before we put them in another situation. You know, at least I do anyways. But you know what? We're running, and Jason brought up a good point. I hope this is why he brings it up too, is we're going to be running hot this year. In other words, these tests are coming in a hot period of time. So if you aren't training at midday or you aren't training in the heat a little bit, get some condition going, you could run into some time. Especially, let's just think about it. We run 10 natural ability dogs. Your fifth dog, you know, that's 5 hours. You hit right around 1 o'clock. You know, your field could be right around 1, 2 o'clock. So, you know, even though we start in the morning, try to get them all done, you know, you could hit the heat of the day. 9, 10 o'clock sometimes is real hot. So it's something you want to consider.
One of the things that happens sometimes is a dog will lay down when they get hot, you know, when they come in and lay down. Is that a problem?
Well, it depends on what test you're in. If it's in the utility test, of course, it will be a stamina depreciation. Because, you know, as by how we think in NAVDR, this is a finished gun dog coming to a test, and a dog properly trained should be able to handle any condition with 30 minutes. So we know that there's extreme weather situations in there, and we have some leniencies to it. But if the dog is breaking down, and you know, we take 10 or 15 minutes out of a 30-minute search to go, where do you take it? Do you take it out of the drive? Do you take it out of the desire? Or do you back the stamina? I mean, the most effective way to do it that accurately accounts for it would be the dog's stamina, to me.
And if they lay down on point, same thing? Are you hitting pointing or are you hitting stamina?
These are all, this could be, if it's a weather relation, wouldn't you rather hit the stamina than the pointing instincts in the dog? Right. Dog stopping and doing what he meant, but he can't maintain the energy to do what he's doing. I'd rather hit his stamina.
Yeah.
And you know what? His desire is wonderful, because this guy doesn't give up. I says, okay, I got to lay down. I just can't handle this heat, right? But you know what? I wouldn't bang his desire. I'd bang his stamina. Yeah, A156.
Hey, can you keep that puppy down, please? I'm trying to have a meeting here.
50 cents, you can own it.
Oh man, great. Let me see what we have for questions. This is Pete Judge from Minnesota.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, Pete. Go ahead.
All right, so it's interesting you're talking about heat and retrieving. My Griff, I'm going to give him one more shot at a prize one this year. His problem is he spits out birds in the field when it gets hot. So I come out of the field with a 2 in retrieving. He does 4s early on in the run, and then sometimes toward the end they don't come back at all, you know. So one of the tricks I've been doing in training is before I send him on the retrieve, if I notice his tongue is hanging out, I'll water him before I send him on the retrieve. And this is one judge asking 2 other judges if you would tell me not to do that or not.
Say it again. What do you do?
After the bird is shot, before I send him on the retrieve, water him.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, does it work?
It helps, but I don't know how bad I'm going to get dinged on the score.
How did they handle that? How did the judges handle that?
I have never seen that, but you know, I mean, if you water him,
God.
Why would that be an issue? I mean, what are you doing? You're not getting an immediate retrieve.
The Ames book says the retrieve is supposed to be prompt. So I guess it would depend on how much time I took to water, or maybe, I don't know.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but the retrieve being a dog that kind of goes out and maybe does a search, you know, or goes pees on a few trees and then goes, I feel like I can do the retrieve now, would be a dog that's not prompt about his retrieve. But a dog that, if the handler takes it upon himself to give him dog some water, give.
Oops. Well, that's a good one on the rules book right now. So
That makes the retrieve. I wouldn't have an issue with that.
yeah.
Blaine, what do you think?
Pete, when they say prompt, that means, and if you looked after prompt, and I could be wrong, but I think it says promptly go out and come back and deliver until told to release. Stand or sit until told to release, right?
Yeah, to achieve
So
the
what you
highest score.
do, what you do before you send him is you're still in steady to fall, because fall doesn't end till you send him.
Right.
So basically what you're doing is, if it's you're handling your fall, but it's not going to hurt you any. I mean, who would be that? I don't know. I don't see that as any situation. I think that's just smart handling, personally.
All right, good to know. I'm gonna keep working on that this summer.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you,
Don't say Blaine said you better do it.
yeah, here I go. I'm in the paint now. But Pete, I would condition a little bit too. This stuff I'm talking about, hot conditioning work while you're doing your training midday, that could help you a lot.
Yeah, good to know. We'll work
The
on
other thing is a dog high in drive and desire. It would be pretty difficult for that dog to. You said that dog sometimes doesn't come back with a bird. I would have a real issue with that. I don't care how out of shape or hot the dog is. For them not to come back with a bird is pretty atrocious. So I don't see that conditioning would relate to too much of that. I'm wondering if there's a drive issue there.
Not with this dog. It's just he gets too damn hot. He doesn't like that bird.
Is he not? Pete, he's not coming back or dropping.
He won't pick it up. He'll lay out there with it.
He goes to it and he won't put it in his mouth.
Or it comes like halfway back and then he spits it.
Yeah.
And then I call him back and water him some, send him over and over. Like the last test I ran on the last bird, I finally just gave up because I thought that same thing. Like now my desire and cooperation, everything's just going to hell because he's not obeying at all, you know. So we just picked up the bird and I took my 0.
I don't think I could get my dog to drink water in those situations. They're going to be so focused on that bird that just hit the ground. It's like, no.
Well, I'm going to work on it. I'm trying to manage my way through the test, but I agree conditioning would be probably the best answer.
Yeah, I would go
and pray for a cool day.
Hey, when you were training the dog and introducing him to feathers as a puppy, what's the dog act like?
He's a real natural retriever. He'll pick up anything and hold and carry anything around. So I've been doing lots of hold and carry work with him too, just with birds and stuff too around the yard.
As a puppy, was he tentative on feather?
No, not at all. No.
Okay.
Did you go through the force process?
I got this dog when he was 8 months old, and he was such a natural retriever that I kind of just went with it. And then now I'm doing a lot of hold and carry stuff. He'll grab anything I stick out in front of his face, so I never really had to do much pressure ear pinch or anything with this dog. He reaches up and grabs anything you put in front of his face. So I just working a lot with making him confident about holding and carrying stuff he doesn't like, weighted dumbbells and dead birds and when it's hot and stuff like that.
That kind of brings up a good point. And, one of the reasons I try to, even if I get some dogs that are like that are pretty good retrievers and they don't really seem like they need force, but sometimes just going through the force process cleans up a lot of that. And it sounds like you're kind of heading down that road anyhow.
Yeah, it's just his older brother, the Griff I had before him, I was pretty hard on him with the force fetch and Dan ran into some problems. So with this one, I decided to take a little slower, general approach. And it's not a problem. It's not a problem during hunting season. So how bad do I want to push it just to pass a damn test, or to chase a prize one,
I'd chase it. I'd
Yeah.
chase it. I'd do it, and I'll tell you why.
I mean,
Everyone wonders
this is good
why.
information. Go ahead.
Everyone wonders why we force train. Well, it is exactly that. It's just to give that a dog an understanding if I need it, how do I have anything in my training bag that can get that dog to do something when he doesn't want to, for instance. I don't want to come back. I'm hot. I don't want to come back. I'm done. I'm a natural retriever, but we don't push that button. Not as, and it's not a hard button to push. It's just say, I tell you to pick up, you pick it up, and you bring it back. And that's as simple as it gets. And I only use that button when they were in refusal. It's a great refusal because he said, well, I'm hot. I'm not going to do it. Well, I'm watering. I'm doing all these circumventing. And maybe you don't need to force train retrieve, but he needs to understand when you want him to do something like that, he isn't making that decision. You are. And that's a hard pill, especially when you got a dog that's that naturally talented throwing out all those things. But that's the one thing. If you ever looked at the test results in the early days, the Griffons were absolutely knocking the socks out of the naturability test. But when the pressure came on to do the utility, because everybody didn't understand how to manipulate the pressures, and that's where they just weren't meeting the bill at that particular time. Neither was anybody else, anyways. But especially the Griffon. So I think there's tendency in those dogs when you make them have to do something, they got a little revolt going sometimes. And I think I would rather make my statement in the forced training at home on the training table than on game out in the field in a situation. If that helps any.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. For those, I have a question or comment. Somebody wanted to know but he's a young puppy buyer who wants to be involved in or wants to see how the tests are run. And is curious where all the tests happening in our area. Patty?
So our first test, naturability and utility test, is July 31st, August 1, 2, in Bodenham. So I don't think we're going to allow spectators at this time, Jason, only because we're trying to keep it a skeleton crew and keep everybody as safe as possible that are going to tests. So if it's a utility day and you only have 6 handlers, I guess we could look into that. But naturability, which is I think everybody's curious about. Yeah, I mean, we got to be careful. They'll have 10 dogs out there, 10 handlers, 3 judges, an apprentice or 2.
Yeah, we're looking at a naturability test, bare bones about. You figure every owner might bring a friend or bring their wives, a significant other. I mean, we're not going to be able to fight that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to know ahead how many people are coming.
So we're going to look at.
No, I'm just saying, if this person wants to come, I mean, we can duplicate what we do in the training situation, so they can learn if their question is something that we can show them in a demonstration outside of the NAVDA events.
I would also suggest reaching out to Spasca chapter, Seacoast chapter, and Merrimack chapter. There's 3 other chapters that they could go, and they may be willing to allow him to check it out.
Right. I mean, there's lots of stuff going on in our area. So,
where is he located?
This is Phil.
What's that, Phil?
This is Phil. Yeah.
Oh.
So he's
Phil. Oh, geez, he's trouble anyway. Dude. All right.
No,
we
that's
could call
a
the
good
chapters
question.
ahead of time.
Volunteer to be a bird planter. Well,
we need bird planters, Phil.
So those situations, if you're a worker,
you're okay.
I'll be a worker.
All right, there you go.
Consider this me volunteering.
Okay, very good. I mean, that's how you learn. That's how you learn around watching somebody else do it and then ask the question.
Frank, did you guys give Frank just one video, or do you have another one we can look at?
I just got one video, but if you guys have others you want to send them to me, I'm happy.
Oh,
to play
okay.
them.
Okay.
Do we have any others?
No, that's all I have is the one that you turned in.
Okay, then if that's the case, we're coming at our training period now. The first training period is going to be at Burnham, up to Dave Moshe's place. It's a great water development area for you chapter members, puppy people even may want to be involved in it as well. I know we're going to we could possibly run into we've already deal with it, but I think what we can get away with because of how large the particular area is, we can subdivide our group so that we don't extend past the social distancing. One of the things too is everyone's going to be required to have their masks on and dealing with that stuff when they're in contact in groups. So remember to have your safety equipment. It's a great training area and the venues are unlimited. We can do crossings, we can do just about anything. And we got secondary venues in there as well, plus tracking abilities and double marks, wood searches before we've got all kinds of things that we're going to throw into it. But everybody has to understand that while you're waiting your turns or while you're in it, we usually had great social conversations on dog training and whatever. Unfortunately, I think with this pandemic, we're not going to be that able to do some of that as well. But we're going to have a training day and we're going to be dog training and we're going to get out. We're going to try to get dogs wherever. So when you come here, I would utilize my time on the ground, have a problem, have a development idea, have a training plan on where you want to go, what you want to accomplish, what you hope. So when you hit these group leaders that you now can develop your dog in the manner you want them developed, okay? So it's very important that you tell wherever the group is, my dog is not doing well in this. And then what happens in the conversation is there'll be a training plan made, and then you start working the dog in that plan.
So I think what you guys are talking about is handouts as people arrive. So we won't have so much question and answering.
Yeah, we're going to try to have it all lined up, but we can't, usually what happens in training days is our conversations, you bring out your conversations, we ask you a bunch of questions, you say, oh, wait a minute, what about this? And then we create a plan for you to go and do whatever you're doing. We're going to be limited a little bit in that. So whatever information you can bring, whatever good immediate information that is already in it. And I'm willing to entertain anybody that's coming to a clinic, don't quite know what you want to do and you're coming, please call me. I'd be glad to have a conversation with you and direct you or you throw out, and when you get there, we'll have it ready for you when you get there and we can plan it. I can pass it on to the leaders, whatever you want to do. So whatever information you can give me prior to it would be important.
Betty got me. Okay, bye, Betty.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions at this time? Now Betty left. Sorry, Betty.
We love you, Betty.
Plans on doing bird work?
Any what? Was that a question, Jay?
That was brought up, bird work. The only reason,
Oh.
no, we aren't going to do bird work.
The reasoning was the live gunshots.
Live gunfire around that pond.
Okay.
With the number of dogs that we have, we're going to keep it to the water.
But
Water
we will have, we could, if people requested, we could get rid of some pheasants, but I hope we don't have these here, but.
Yeah, young dog tracking or anything like that we can do.
So we'll put some feelers out, the committee, and see if there is a demand for, we can use some more pheasants. So yeah, there's a huge field, not huge field. The pond is bounded by mowed fields, so you could easily do some tracking. So we'll be doing drags for all the dogs with ducks. They'll become available. The ducks in the pond will not disappear. They will still be in that pond. So even though your dog didn't, I think Jason, last year, didn't you say that none of the ducks really got away in the duck search? You guys always got, you got pretty reliably got trees for everybody.
I was a skeptic about that place last year, just because I thought one duck search would run into the retrieving that you're doing to the other end, and we would just be in constant conflict with one another. But I was surprised that we were able to hold all of our events simultaneously on that pond. So yeah, we got all the ducks.
Yeah, and there's multiple ponds. I mean, there's not only the big pond, but there's little ponds in there we can do.
Yeah.
And we got some ideas on doing duck chases, doing for developmental dogs, especially ones come off the search and they aren't driven that bad. So we can put them into a win situation. Double marks and resends on small ponds are a great way to do your resend because it's easy for the dog. So we can do some resending development. And this could be little exercises we can do off those searches as well.
Yeah.
We can set up the wingers for double marks, long retrieving. They got
Crossing.
wicked long retrieving aptitudes on ground up there and with different environments. So it's a retrieving habitat. Retrievers, actually. Probably a national. You gotta remember, Dave Osher was a national champion. He played that game, and this was his training grounds.
Yeah. So I don't see any more questions. The videos. This may be a short one.
I like it.
Oh, well, that's because where's our friend from Vermont? Bill is missing.
I know. He's not feeling well.
Okay. So, any part of the test? I know Pete was going to be our judge this fall.
Yeah, we're super bummed, man. The only advantage is I'm going to get out to Montana in September now instead of coming to Maine. So.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Well, next year.
All right, we'll count on it.
Oh God, we were hoping for you, Pete.
I know, the guitar and some singing and
yeah. My wife, I've got an overly supportive wife as far as it goes with all this dog crazy stuff. And she said when I was apprentice and everything, you go apprentice and hold on the fort, but if you ever get invited to Maine, we're going. So so next year we'll look forward to it.
Yep, it's a pretty time of year. So yeah, we look forward to that. So we got all our judges for next year. We're good. Yeah. So someone must have a question.
Anyone with any questions? Come on. Doesn't have to be true.
Who in this picture are testing?
Laurie, you got anything?
Laurie, are you running anybody?
I am not running anybody.
Okay.
No, I pulled Maisie from the test. I didn't feel that I would be confident enough to test her. So next year.
Next year.
She's coming along good, but next year.
She's young. Yep.
Okay.
We'll have a lot of next year people in this picture here.
Hopefully we got enough tests for next year. Jeez.
Be a lot of puppies next year.
Holy mackerel.
Hey, I just got thinking about being that we missed quite a few clinics and how testing in sterile environments that the dog understands could be a struggle, like could be easy, but you show up on test day and you haven't been to any clinics and you haven't been to any classes with, what would you do to get your dog ready for the test if you can't go to any clinic as far as distraction work goes?
Well, I don't know. They're running a hunt test, AKC hunt test.
Okay.
So
You could just go, couldn't you just go for like people distractions, bike path distractions, dogs? I mean, we thought about that when we had all those puppies. How can we socialize puppies for kids and people?
I
with
think
nothing.
the best socialization for any dog is, well, it's not the same as it used to be, but is grocery stores with cots coming in and out, whatever the busiest time is. But now they're monitoring in, monitoring out. But it was great. It's great to have people come by your dog, people seeing your dog, people want to pat your dog. I don't know now what it would be like.
I sat in the parking lot waiting for Blaine to go pick up his eye meds for probably an hour and a half, and I had Barley and Etta in the back of the car, and I just opened up the tailgate and sat there and visited people that walked by. So it was it was pretty cool. And I see your puppy, well, from 6 feet away. But yeah, it was good. Ways to do it. Confusion. So that wasn't my dog barking.
Camille, how's
I
your
always
dog
go
doing?
down to, or I did in the past,
Hey
Where'd you
there.
go? Lori, where did you go?
Aim Supply and Cook's Corner
Oh.
Mall. And I do inside work in the Cook's Corner Mall. I would go through the entire obedience routine. I don't know what it's like there now, but until the pandemic, that's where I would go during the winter.
Yep, that's a good one. Yeah, it's divided up now because the center store there's no quarter that goes. Sears is closed, and so yeah, I think there's a quarter. It's just shorter.
Yeah, and I still did it when they were working there. So, but I haven't been there since March, so I don't know what it's like now.
Yeah, people. That's all good. People and distractions, noises, lots of noises.
So Blaine, the biggest problem I've been running into is we've been regularly conditioning the dogs, and we had our first training clinic with Seacoast chapter, and I ran Rev in a brace with Matt Lorello, and it was late in the day. It was like 85 degrees, oppressive humidity. I think it was on the second bird. She was the honoring dog, and when he sent his dog on the retrieve, she laid down. And so I don't know how to train through that when they're hot like that. And I have been conditioning her, running her late in the day, running drills late in the day. So I'm not sure what to do.
She's not standing, she's not laying down and pointing, is she?
No.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
There's that invitational.
It's honoring. You don't get involved with the other dog. If it stays there, you're standing next to her anyway. If she lays down, let her lay down.
Okay.
She's laying down. It's hot. She's laying down because she's, you know, if you look at our mean temperature coming into this spring, we've been cold.
Mm-hmm.
So now it just jumped. We jumped 40 degrees, almost 50 degrees now today. But so our mean temperatures, those dogs are coming in, they're conditioned to colder weather, and we're now into hot weather. So they're transitioning, you know, and I personally pick your battles.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry about it. You know, if it started spreading into everything, then I'd be looking, well, wait a minute, what's something causing it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But just to lay down, say, hey, I'm going to be steady, I'm going to lay down. You could call it, you know, submissive disobedience in a sense. All right, I'll stay, but I'm going to lay down. All right. You know, you can put the e-collar on them and poke them up, but I wouldn't get into that. I don't think that's the battle. I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
What's your feelings?
I honestly, I was a little bit concerned, like, is this going to the invitational just something that maybe she's just never going to be able to do? You know, like, will I ever be able to condition her for Iowa?
Let me tell you something. You're going to be just fine. You're just going to be fine, you know? And everyone goes in, and please do not buy into what happens is these little things are going to pop up, and it's like the world just ended on you. Don't get into it. Think about it. I have all this time, and it's like to me, it's like a funnel. Whatever is good, right? I'm just touching on it intermittently all the time. Good is staying good. The things that aren't so good, I'm going to work on. There's growth in that, right? But I'm not going to go crazy over everything. What happens is then you start focusing in at that, and then it's like if I took a balloon and squeezed it, it just goes everywhere. And that's because you're putting too much pressure. Let it come together, you know? Like, how am I going to do my backing? Don't over back. How am I going to do my pointing and steadiness? I can do 2-3 sessions. I can throw birds between them, pigeons in there, but they don't have to be 15, 20 birds. Our numbers will come up as we get closer. And then the week or two before I get to test day, I'm going to be dropping back. I'm just holding because I'm not going to get any better than I am right now. Let's go. But if you say, I got to get better, I got to get better, I got to get better, and you tighten and tighten, I'm telling you, that balloon's going to let go, and somewhere it will break out. Knowing your dog's temperament too as well. She don't need that. She needs confidence. She needs to grow. And little things like that, ignore it. It's not going to hurt you.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I say something? Tori was doing that. Tori was doing that last year. When I went to train with Peter Wade, he offered us a day to come and do honoring. And so I did, and it was a hot day, and I think it was in July, and she was laying down on her honor. And he said, don't let her do that. So just go pick her up. So that's what I did. I picked her up. She never did it again after that. And when we tested, it was incredibly hot, and there was no problem. I think even if they do lay down when you're training, when they're honoring because they're so hot, when it comes to test day, there's just too much excitement going on. They're not going to lay down. It doesn't matter.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. You hit a static situation, dog lays down, is bored, whatever. You know, it could be a numerous conditions. I've been sitting in the truck all day. All right, now, I got to wait some more. Oh my God, I'm going to lay down. Sometimes your little mistakes are better. And you know this, Laurie. That sometimes your little mistakes is better to just don't. If you draw attention to it, they get worse. If you just don't draw attention to it, they just seem to go away. And nothing gets more exciting than test day.
Right. Nothing gets any hotter than test day out there last year.
Yeah.
It's incredibly hot.
Always hot. Oh.
That is always a hot one. It is. Good job, too, on that pass, dear.
Thank you.
We're proud of you.
Thank you.
Any other question? Rosemary, you got to have a question.
I do have a question.
I thought
I've
so.
been trying. I've been trying to condition Joya with kayaking and water, but she's very bothered with her ears and water. So I can be out in the middle of some place and she just stops to shake and goes vertical. And goes
God.
And flat.
She sinks. She sinks.
And she sinks. Oh
yes.
My God. Patty probably can answer this better than I can. I think there is a solution they make that you can put in the ear that
Yeah, but she just doesn't like the feel of it. It's not.
It's a tickle.
Yeah. She's gonna shake her head, but she forgets the paddle and she's shaking her head.
Rosemary.
But she stops and she goes vertical. She goes under.
She
sinks. It goes right down.
She goes.
She sinks.
Vertical. It goes right down and I have to pull her up.
Well, if Betty was here, well, her dog was learning to swim, seriously, and you know, she didn't have Betty didn't have the confidence that her dog wouldn't, because he didn't use his back legs, wouldn't swim, that she put a life jacket on the dog. And so you're still going to get conditioned. So if you're worried about that, you know, eliminate that worry from and just put a life jacket on. And they're still going to, I mean, you'll have times that you don't need it. You know, but I mean, if you want to do some long distance swimming and conditioning, you know, it takes one worry off your shoulders, and he's not going to get much exercise being vertical.
What happens when he comes up?
She's befuddled for a little bit, and I've hung on to her collar, and then and then she'll get her flow back on. And I take her in to give her a break, and then I try to get her back to go back out, and she doesn't want to go.
Yeah.
Have you got any water that is like she can run in and lunge? Like the water would be the resistance, like the chains. I mean, actually, they physically have to really push water hard if they're running in it and lunging. So if you have like edges of waters, or brooks or streams,
You know, chest high shallow ponds too. You know what? Take a walk out in there where they have to, you know, pop us out through that stuff, you know, and go for a walk.
I think she'll get used to it. I don't know, but you know, if I've seen dogs, she's gonna be coming in with a duck in her mouth, and she'll be like, "Ouch!" You know, it's gonna be hairy. But
okay, all right.
Sorry, there was no great answer on that one.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm still looking at this bobber going out into the water.
Oh, she goes down, just straight down.
Oh my God.
Make sure it's not too deep.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yep. So that's our problem.
Well, I can tell you, I don't have all the answers. I haven't. And it's amazing. It's you get into this dog venue thing, and you know, you think you've been around and seen enough, and you got to. I'll tell you, there's always something different. You know.
I could get her a snoodle to cover her ears. Would that be okay? Could she test in that?
I wonder if you could put water plugs or something in.
No, just shake them out.
I think the snoodle is a great idea. We want to see the snoodle. And then there'll have to be a judge's workshop about a snoodle.
I'm into snoodling. I can see that. Rosemary, I would never say it. I would say anything.
It would be okay then? She can have a snoodle?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I doubt it, but you go ahead and do it. How do you know? You got to test the water, Rosemary.
I guess.
That's a good question. Anyone else got a?
When are you getting more birds at any time? You filling the trailer?
Yeah, we still got some right now.
There's some in the trailer now, Susie. You need some?
And ducks too, or just chuckers?
Yeah,
nope, I had ducks and pheasant and
ducks.
chucker.
The whole deal.
But as far as when they are gone, you just let me know when you need something, and I'll order it. Okay. You know, when Jim comes, he comes
because
every weekend.
Just coming to your house every week. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I do that.
Yep.
Hey, you know, this is a special year, and I'll be honest with you, I don't like doing it.
You don't like what?
No, I don't like having birds. I don't like having birds come in a box and have my birds in and have to deal with other people's birds because they come and then they don't pick up, or they come the next day and pick up. So you know, I really don't do that. It makes it difficult for me. But this year, with the situation being what it is, anybody in the Yankee chapter that needs birds or wants birds, let me know. I can order it, but please be responsible. Please, when you order them, I'll tell you when they're gonna be in, and then you. Yeah, the Wonder Dog isn't so wonderful.
Hey, Blaine, we appreciate it. We appreciate you doing the bird thing. Thank you.
So we're willing to help you any way we can.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else?
We all have perfect dogs, that's all.
I'm glad. It makes a perfect world.
Yes, it does. Sounds good.
Well, you know, the neat thing about this, and it's not too many of us, and I don't know why there isn't, and I can understand it as well. But the neat thing about this is I want to thank everybody that has sent in videos, and especially you, Lori, because we were so hard on you. You know, that'd be the last one I'll send in. But it's that kind of stuff that opens up some, I mean, you guys sent that in, and it opens up discussion. And even though it isn't even accurate at that particular moment, it does bring up a timing and when we interact with a dog, and what's the best timing to do certain things. Or and in a few meetings, I've heard some great information, good feedback to myself. It brings up, you know, some ideas that different techniques, how we grow ourselves, because it is important to grow these puppies and these utility dogs, and even the dogs that are going to the invitational. Let's, you know, we have this ability to want to amp ourselves up, and these dogs are going to show you a certain amount of desire, and they're going to show you a certain amount of cooperation, but they sometimes show you I don't understand. And I think in some cases we have a tendency to think of it as a disobedient, and it really isn't disobedient. It says, I don't get the game. This is what I know, and this is what you're trying to show me, but it's not making sense to me. So sometimes when we're growing them or we're doing certain things with them, it might mean backing up and doing what they know. It's like excuse me. It was like Edo out there in the water as a puppy, and there's just a little water. She's just bouncing around. She's not swimming or anything. And we throw this duck out, and she sees it, and she swims out, and she picks up the duck, and then she comes back. I look at Patty, and I go, this is a growing moment. Walk her up the bank. So Patty walks up the bank. While she was walking up the bank, I threw the duck back in the same spot. I said, let her go and just send it. Let her see what she's going to do. She ran out of that water, immediately went out to that spot, grabbed the duck, and came back. And I went, whoa, wait a minute. This is a great moment. I said, walk up that bank. This time I said, it's not going to be there, but it's going to be out in the general area. So I threw it out. She came back, let the dog. Well, the dog came out, and he said, right then it was neat because the dog had been successful twice. It was willing to grow. And that's the point I'm trying to make. You see what I mean? So if I go back to where I'm most comfortable and then I grow it,
yep,
and they're successful, the growth gets stronger and stronger. Now I'm going in the direction I want. So the praise in the excitedness of the situation made everything better. So that's one thing I wanted to get across to you guys today anyways. So
I think the other thing that I find very beneficial is watching like the videos, and because when you're at a clinic, you know, you're so sort of involved in what you're doing rather than being able to go and watch somebody else in the field and seeing what their issues are and how it's going to get resolved. This way, we all have eyes on various different problems, and for God's sakes, we all have the problems, but it just makes it a sort of a kinder, gentler place, and where we can you know, just see that other people have similar problems or something similar that we can take away from it in terms of resolution or working on it. I just think this is great. Very beneficial. Anyway.
Yeah, I do too. And you know, the thing that just drives it even more for me is the fact that, you know, I know Jason, Patty, and I, and, you know, basically have been spearheading it, but it's deeper than that, is that this Yankee chapter is amazing. It's amazing to the point where everybody wants you to do your best. It's not a competition. It's if we get every dog prize 1 perfect score, yay, you know, it's not Susie bred a dog, I breed a dog, my dogs are better than you. That's not what we're about. We want you to do well, and we're not going to give you bad information, but we don't have the answers either. We're only giving you suggestions, and you know, you live with these dogs. You need to, if you don't like it, like I always say, I'll give you something. If you don't like it, boot it right out the driveway. It's you got to do what's best for your dogs. But we got a lot of trainers, Susie, Lori, I'm looking at right now, even you, Rosemary, even though your dog sinks. But we're a good group, and we don't look at you. If your dog fails or your dog's not doing something, that doesn't make you or your dog a failure. We still like you.
We've all been there too, the failure.
Oh, I've been down that road numerous times. So, and we know, you know, you put a lot of work into them and they don't do it. It is deflating, you know, but we've been there, and I guarantee you that if you fail a test, I'll guarantee you can't get your dog in your car and up that driveway before someone said, don't worry about it. We've been there before. You know, someone's going to console you, you know, and that's pretty neat. To me, that's pretty special.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you. I mean, truly, this is great. Okay.
Hey, John and Camille, I'm not sure where you guys are located at, but love to get a chance to see a dog that's been tuned up for the Nationals and get a sense for what that's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. You can shoot us an email or Facebook us or anything anytime. We're always out training, and we do a lot with the Seacoast chapter as well. So you're more than welcome to come and hang with us and train.
Awesome. What's your last name?
Noldan, Noldan.
Thank you. And everybody on here who's got dogs that are older, love to get some learning from y'all.
Only one of our dogs is ready for the Nationals, just to be clear. I got to put that disclaimer out here. And it ain't mine.
You mean the international?
Oh, there's going to be another one.
Are we talking about
There's
the
gonna be
invitation?
another one.
Are we talking about
There's
the
gonna be two.
invitation? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
I just have to say
Well,
it.
there's a number of us ready for the invitational, isn't there, Susie?
Oh, there are, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to go next year. So I thought maybe you'd join me, Blaine.
You're pushing.
Oh, well. Mark Morneau.
You never know. You never know. Yeah.
So Philip, you're talking about the invitational, not the like National Shoot to Retrieve. Is that what you're talking about?
I think so. I'm very, very, very new to this, so.
Okay. Okay.
Phil, I'll get you up to speed.
For sure.
I take a lot of doing, Blaine.
I'll get you up to speed.
Hey, so Philip, did I see you down at Merry Meeting Bay with your family and your puppy? Is that where? Okay. Yeah. A jolly group. Very good.
Oh, that was him.
Good.
Oh, Philip was
Remember
down.
the day that the crash, the day of the crash?
Yeah, when I crashed my drone.
that Philip was there. They went around to the side where we usually do the duck searches.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we asked him if it was okay if we shot.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, that was me.
You had a crash?
Way.
When I was doing Tyler's duck search video, when I was bringing the drone back when his dog was eating the bird,
Oh.
I crashed it.
That's right. Well, good thing you got a good husband that could put your drone back together.
I know.
It's all back together, see? I took care of it.
Good job.
Well,
Okay, we're done.
everyone enjoy your Sunday evening.
You too. Thank you, Blaine.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Frank. Phil,
Yeah.
thanks.
Thank you for doing this.
Rosemary, stay afloat.